I am just seriously so excited to have you on the show, Anna, because you, out of all the people in the whole world, know Chris and I probably better than anyone else, because you've had a behind the scenes look at the elevated life, working with the club, the podcast, literally all things elevated life. It's been an amazing journey of working together. So we thought bringing you on to today's show would really just showcase the fact that having help and having support and not doing everything yourself is absolutely necessary when it comes to running a successful, well thought out business. And you, my friend, have been an absolute gem and helping the elevated life grow and flourish and elevate. So thank you so much for that. And welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, I mean, working with you all, we've hit 2 years. That's freaking amazing. But yeah, I mean, I say to my husband, I talk to him about you guys all the time. And like anyone who comes to me and is like, I want to go on a journey or like, whatever. I'm like, these two are the real deal. Like there's so many people in the online space now who you don't know who to trust these days, but like you all, like you are legit 100%.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate that. And it's been so cool to witness your journey. You've literally become my therapist every month, which is I'm like, how does Anna get me to just spill all the beans? Like, I don't share any of this to anybody. And you just have such a beautiful Leo, warming, fucking bright, shining energy. So we're so thankful to celebrate 2 years with you. And what a great way to showcase your magic on the show. So I want to just start off by sharing your journey of traveling the world and marrying someone overseas. That to me is just one of the coolest fucking things about you. You literally quit your like 9-to-5 bullshit job, made a decision to say, I'm going to fucking work for myself. And that allowed you so much freedom to explore and roam. So can you just take us back to who was Anna when she made that courageous decision to say, fuck this, I'm going to live my best life?
Yeah, for real. I mean, technically I did that twice. So the first time was when I was a bank teller back then. It was like
the hottest bank teller you've ever seen.
I know, I want to come to your line.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I was like fresh out of college, maybe like a semester after or something. And me and Nico decided like, we want to do an around the world trip. He had been like, that was like his life dream. It was also a dream of mine to travel as well. And we were like, let's just fucking quit our jobs. Like he knew at that point, he was like, I'm done being in the US. Like I want to be in Europe. I was like, okay, I want to live in Europe too, but like, I can't do that just yet. So like, let's travel. That'll give me some time to get my shit in order. So that was like 2018, quit my bank teller job. And we did a backpacking trip around the world for like 9 months ish. And that like was what opened up my eyes to, okay, these like people who are online, like working from Bali, doing the shit, like it's one thing when you like see it on Instagram and you're like, okay, is this really real? And then when you're like actually there and you're like, people have these businesses and you're like, how the hell did you make a business out of this? And it's just, that just like opened my eyes. And so when I came back from that trip, I thought that was like gonna buy me some time to be like, okay, now that like I got that out of my system, like I can go back to working a corporate job, like it'll be fine. And I really didn't have much culture shock when we were doing that backpack trip. Everything hit me when I came back to the US, had to get back into a routine, was like doing the normal things again. And I was like in an intense like culture shock for months. And then I got my job then at that same bank, but I went internal and was working as an admin assistant. And I got that job knowing in my head that I'm going to work here for 1 year. I'm going to save up a shit ton of money. I'm going to leave this job. And then I'm going to go to Europe, live with Nico. Because at that point, after our backpack trip, he was like, he got his job there. I got my job in the US. So we were long distance during that time period. But I think I ended up working there like a little over a year. I started there like December of like 2018 when we got back. And then I left like February of 2020, like literally right before the pandemic. And I remember like not even being nervous to quit that job because I was like, I'm done here. Like I never had an attachment to it at the beginning, but like I learned that I really like, I enjoyed being an assistant, but like I had to be there downtown by 7 a.m. Like that's not me. Like I like to spend an hour in the morning to do my makeup. I like to look cute, and a bitch is not looking cute when she's getting ready at 5 a.m. Like that's just not, that just is not, that's not my thing. And so yeah, I quit that job and moved over here to Germany. And then that was like literally 2 weeks after that, the pandemic hit. So it was like such divine timing, because like that happened, the borders closed, and like if it would have been 2 weeks later, I would not have been able to get over here. But yeah, it's been a journey to be here, because I mean, we had a whole big plan of what we wanted our life to be once I first came here, like March of 2020. The pandemic messed all that up. And now 3 years later, in March of this year, I just now got my visa approved to like live here full time. So it's been a process, but I don't regret any of it whatsoever.
You know, there's so many beautiful things that you just touched on. I mean, there's so many things that I want to unpack here, but the first thing
I know, like, how did she meet Nico?
The first thing I want to go to, because you've done something that a lot of people have not done, which is travel the world, especially for an extended period of time. There are some of us who have traveled, but we don't normally travel for a long period, which makes you change your personality. Like a lot of things about you change. Can you talk about some of the changes that came out of that? Maybe what you discovered about the world, or of other people, or of yourself, or being with a partner, because some people don't travel well. I mean, we've discovered that before, that some people don't travel well. So
spoiler alert, they made it.
Yeah. So what came out, like what lesson came out of that where you just thought, like, had I not done this, there's no way I would have known this thing?
Yeah, it totally like took away all of my identity, because as I've said, I like to wear cute clothes. I like to do my hair. I like to do my makeup. I had a backpack. I could not carry around my big suitcase, pretty much style of makeup. I couldn't have a curling iron. Like I couldn't have cute clothes. And so I learned that like I still have an identity outside of like the things that people like typically think of Anna, so to say. And I also kind of learned that like traveling and like doing all of the stuff that people like look up so much to, like when you're traveling for that length of time, like you still need to have a routine and things that ground you, because that's no longer a vacation. Like you are living a life, you're gone somewhere else for 9 months. And so it actually, looking back, I feel like it was an extraordinary experience, but I also feel like it was kind of part of a low of my life, because in the sense that I felt so lost in a way, because I was stripped away from all these things that made me who I thought I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've seen, beautiful beaches. I've been to every place that people have saved on Instagram, all these things. Like, why am I not as happy as I should be? And so it was like a journey to kind of like accept that, and then to come back afterwards and be like, that's where I feel like more of the lessons were like integrated and learned, was like coming back to normal life and being like, okay, I really am not the same person anymore. How can I like piece all these different things together? And there's some things who I was before that I'm not anymore. There's some things I'm like, okay, I missed this about myself. How, like all the things, really.
What was the biggest surprise you learned about yourself in that time?
That I can go without being, honestly, like literally like being all glammed up. Like there were times where I was looking real rough. I was looking rough during that trip, and that I kind of just like didn't care also. But yeah.
I think that's huge. I mean, traveling really does, for us, the reason why we love doing it, not just to learn other cultures and see the beautiful, grammable places, but because it takes you out of that comfort zone and the routine that you talked about being in, because our life is essentially boils down to our routine. And so when you're traveling, you have to make conscious decisions in the moment of what you want to do. Well, what do I like right now? And how do I compromise with what you want to do in this moment, versus like we just meshed our routines to where they balance each other out. Like you genuinely have to bring yourself and consideration to the partner and all the things. So how did that work between you and your partner in traveling? What was the biggest thing you learned in traveling with him?
Actually, I learned because we kind of like joked before we went on this trip, because I was super scared to be like committing to like traveling long term with someone. I mean, like you're saying, like we have been on vacations together, but like that was something all my friends were like, girl, do you really think this is a good idea? Like you don't have a ring on your finger, like you're going to quit your job and go travel with this man. And so it was nice that we really did not encounter any problems between ourselves. We learned right away what he was good at and what I was good at. So we learned at the beginning that he did not pick the best hotels. He picked amazing flights and the timing was great, but like the hotels, not so good. So we learned I did the hotel duty. He booked all the transportation. I booked the hotels. Since I came from the bank, I was like, I had a little spreadsheet on my phone with all our expenses. We knew how to Venmo each other and everything. And so really we did not, I mean, I think that's also a testament to our whole like relationship together, but like we really did not have any issues amongst ourselves. Like there were times where, I will say the one thing that we argued with about the most is breakfast, because I want to have like, I love breakfast. I love brunch. I want pancakes, eggs, bacon, the full spread. He's not really a breakfast kind of guy. He's like, I can have a banana, whatever, but like I have specific breakfast I want. He wants a certain breakfast. That's like the main thing that we would fight over would be food, or like I'm hungry at a time that he's not hungry, or right now we're walking by a place that has food, so we should eat now, but like it's not really the food that you want. Like just really weird, like ancillary type of things.
There's another time. There's so many big things right here. One is that some of the lessons that I heard out of there were just go for it sometimes. Like be willing to take a risk on yourself, be willing to take a risk on a person, on traveling, go take a risk, just go do it. The second thing is that my mom used to always have this saying, she'd tell me this all the time, and I didn't really learn it till late, I didn't understand it at least. And she said, no matter where you go, there you are. Right? That was always no matter where you're at, you're right there with you. And so a lot of times it doesn't matter. What people don't figure out about success and stuff like that is that, yes, it's nice to be able to afford stuff. Of course, it's nice to be able to do what you want to do. But so much we think we're going to extract our own happiness out of that, and that won't ever happen. The only thing is the acceptance of yourself, and then figuring out what you like and ditching the stuff that you don't. Like that's really where a lot of happiness comes from, is dealing with less and less crap that you're like, oh, why am I doing this? Just like you said, when you came back, you're like, I'm not this person. I thought I was because I was habitual about it and did it every day or every week, and I was used to doing it. But that's one of the big benefits of especially getting away. I think once you get away for longer than 3 or 4 days, once you're like to a 7-day trip, your routine really starts to change. Because you start getting, I get used to, we visited some friends, and by the time we were on like the 4th day,
It felt like we were roommates.
I was like, do we live here? Because we're like down into a little bit of a habitual stuff now. Like I know what I'm doing in the morning. I know what we're kind of doing, how the day's going to work. I'm like, and we got back home like, holy shit, I've forgotten who I was. So I think it's so important for people to, for one, get away, but to two, realize that you don't have to be the same person all the time. Like you don't have to live as you. If you don't love how you are right in this moment, you don't have to live that way anymore. It doesn't mean you should off yourself or do something crazy like that. You don't have to go on a binge of doing bad things. It's just to start thinking about like, well, what do I like? What is that, like the juice, and what's the sauce of life, and how can I get more of that?
Yeah, you're a decision away.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, I want to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you a different question, because it's something that Britt mentioned, and that is the fact that you hold space for us, and you hold space for other people, and it's not easy to do. I know, because of the work that we're in. How do you not take on people's stuff? Because I know that
I live with Britt. She's like, we all heard that in between the lines.
Britt is a go-getter, and I will tell you that us putting together our team has not been easy, and we have blown through people. People have blown through us. We have all fired each other at some point, and a lot of times it's because Britt has a certain vision and she wants it a certain way, and she's going to tell you like, "Hey, this is crap. I don't like it. I don't like it at all." And a lot of people can't deal with that. It's tough for them. So for one, how do you deal with that? And then two, how do you hold the space? How do you take on someone who's very Britt's a big personality. She can be very emotional. She's very excited about
That's why I
everything.
picked a Leo.
100%. I mean, you're totally right for us. I just wonder, how do you personally deal with that? Because for a lot of people, I watch them struggle. It doesn't bother me as much because I'm normally really relaxed. But for most people, it's tough when you're in a situation that really matters. When it's a heart-centered, Britt cares about it. It's tough. So how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I feel like I've always like in my like I feel like I've been doing this my whole life. I don't know if this means anything, but some people say it does. So like I'm the middle child. I feel like I've always been the one who like did kind of the taking care of. And so it's so weird because like when I was younger, I knew that like I wanted to be an assistant. Like that was like my job was like, I want to be an assistant. I want to help people. And like I'd like I remember in high school, I would have like there was a class like I did not have to take a class because this teacher said, I want Anna to help me and like be my understudy. I was like, okay, sure. And like that was my grade. It was really weird, but I was like, okay, like I just learned. I was like, okay, I guess I'm good at this because like in a way, I do think I'm very empathic. And so I feel like over time, and especially as I've gotten older, I do like sometimes I take things probably a little bit too personally, but that's when I start to take something personal, that's when I know, okay, Anna, this is your ego. Like, this is not like, give yourself a couple of minutes to like, do what you got to do and then like move on from it. Like you can process it. You want to be emotional, you can process it because like, I don't know. I also just like feel things for other people. Like I feel really excited for other people, you know, like sadness, like whatever. And so like, I like to process it, but then I know when it's consuming too much that it's like, okay, that's not my job to undertake, to do the feeling. I'm like supposed to be the doing and the helping, but I don't need to be the person who's like doing the feeling. So I can recognize when it's gotten to be too much, but I mean, it is something to work on for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Holding that space for your clients and for yourself throughout the process, no matter what the type of exchange and energy is. What would you describe? Like, how would you, someone recently asked me this and I wrote a blog on it, but because you're on the other half of the team, I'd love your perspective on this. She asked like, what does it take to run a good team? Like, what are your tips for going through the hiring and firing or finding that right fit? So what is your take on, because you've worked with not just us, many other people. So what is your take on if someone's looking for help or trying to build a healthy team that lasts the test of time? What are the qualities or attributes or the things?
Yeah, I would say for sure, don't like beat yourself up if you don't get it right the first time, because I feel like a lot of business owners, they feel like the hiring process is like, this is going to be so difficult. Like, I want to bring someone on my team. I want them to be with me for the next 5 years. Like, I want someone for the long haul. And then like they hire someone, it doesn't work out, but then they like keep that person on their team because they don't want to let them go and then go through the process again. But like, that's just doing you such a disservice. It's doing your business a disservice. It's doing the people you serve a disservice. So like, if you like, for one, just don't be afraid to like, if you hire someone, it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. It's probably not working out for them either. Like, you aren't a match. That's fine. Just like, just move on. And so I would say that, and also just have a clear picture of what you want and what you don't want. And however you're vetting people, like try to stick to that and keep that in mind, and don't fray so far off of like, you definitely want to have a personal connection with them, but like you need to have the business connection as well. Like, just because you like the same TV show and like you like the same color and stuff, like that's fabulous. But like, if you don't actually like the work that they do, then that's gonna be a problem.
I really liked my last assistant's accent and GIFs that she would send me, but that
This is a true story.
it's true. He's like, Britt. I'm like, I just love talking to her.
Yeah.
Oh, so shout out, you
Yeah.
know, to all those that have gone before, but I am just literally so blessed to have come across you and just have that beautiful relationship where there is a balance of, okay, let's talk about what's gone on in our personal lives equally at the beginning of our business chats, and then dive into all the things. And I don't know that a lot of businesses run and operate that way. I think they're very just like logical, strategy, quick, fast, like do the tasks. And I've had assistants in the past that were like, just tell me what to do, give me the list. And I'm like, I want you to use your fucking creative imagination to come up with ideas and take all the puzzle pieces I'm giving to you and put it together in your unique way, because I care about the people on our team's vision, contribution, their magic, all that energy. So I just really appreciate you for taking action and always shifting and changing, and even just like going on your own, like making cool shit happen. It's really a beautiful quality to see in someone that is an assistant, not just like, tell me what to do, here's the list, but like also know that we need your vision, and I love yours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not easy to find. So like, if you don't find it right away, like
Relationship,
that's
like,
okay. Yeah,
you're Prince Charming, you know, like not happening on the first shot. Okay, lessons learned, lessons to be learned.
It's so, you know, in vetting people and really like taking the effort with everything. I feel like I've gotten that way later in life now, is that every decision that I make is more important to me.
7 or above.
Yeah, that's 7 or above. That's just become the crux of my entire life. And it's interesting because it's the people that you surround yourself with, especially in your business. I mean, holy hell, it's almost like everybody's in bed together. It is such an intimate relationship when you're in business, and you can't help it. You know, the person's going to see you on your ugly moments for sure. The person's going to see you on your moments when you're winning. I mean, they're going to know a lot of sort of the deep, dark secrets that, you know, you can hide from everybody else a lot of times. And so it's so important to have a team. And that's what we've learned, a support system, which extends further than business into life. The people you surround yourself with is the most important thing in your whole life. Outside of like rest, food, water, like those very basics, the people are next. And like how big of a difference they can start to make in your life, and like how good you can feel with them on your team, knowing that, okay, even if I have creative blocks, even if something's going wrong today, even if I woke up just on the wrong side of the bed, because you have a team, it's not just you. I want to ask you, when would you recommend someone start, what part in their business would you recommend someone starting to go, you know what, I probably should hire somebody, and I probably should have hired somebody like a little ways back? Because for us, we waited long. We did everything, every little bitty everything. And it's overwhelming where you work 24 hours a day.
Especially when you have like 7 businesses.
Yeah. So at what point should someone start to consider like, okay, a team is, or at least one extra person is someone that I 100% need?
Yeah, I'd say if you are at the point to where you're kind of recognizing that you're losing money, so to say, doing certain things on your own. Like if you are not able to take, for example, you know, if you would be able to have the time to have 2 more coaching calls a week, but instead you're taking those 3 hours and you're, you know, scheduling them, or you're emailing them back and forth, or doing shit that you know you don't need to do, you are losing your business money. Like you are in business to make money. You are not in your, you know, zone of genius when you are doing that. And so I feel like once you, I feel like business owners, we like know when it's time to outsource, but we're like, oh, let's just push it a little bit further. Like, I think I can continue to do this. I can continue to do this a little bit longer. And like, that's how you know, like, do I actually really need to continue to do this? Or like, am I just afraid to let someone else in and see what's going on and not have it just be me anymore? Because everybody wants to have that support, but then it's like, once it's time to come in, it's like, oh no, I don't need it. I'm okay. I'm good.
Perfect.
It's all good. But really, are you doing good?
Yeah.
I'm starting to see a very clear theme here, Anna, and that is taking risks and hiring an assistant, hiring in a team. That is taking a risk because you're trusting your business baby to someone else to help run it, and not, you know, it's like letting go of control for all the perfectionists out there. That's very hard for people. So I'm curious, because you get the behind the scenes of literally everything, the podcast, the Elevated Life Monthly Membership Club, like all the things, the Elevated Life Club. So what do you feel like people listening need to know or don't know about the Elevated Life or the club or anything related to that realm?
Yeah, I think, oh gosh, I mean, you've got over 60 masterclasses at this point in the membership. I mean, I feel like there's never too much to know. Like you are never going to be, if you feel like, oh, like I've already done so much on like a spiritual journey. I've already had so much awakening. Like I don't need any more, but there's always something more to know. And like knowledge is power. And like, even if, like I've worked with coaches in the past and it's like, maybe, I don't know how to explain this properly, but like, sometimes someone can just say like one thing. It can be one sentence, and that can be what changes your life forever. And like, that's all you need to hear. And like, there's just so many different aspects that you all cover. And that's what I think is so cool, is it's like, the topics aren't just gonna, like, you cover the spiritual growth and awakening, but like you also go into like how to live a healthy life, how to sleep, how to be a good partner, like just how to be a good person. And like, that's what I think is missing from a lot of these different areas out there in the industry, is like, people just need to know how to be a good person. And like, it takes more than doing one thing,
Yeah. I feel like one of the biggest problems is that so many of us are looking just for manifestation. If you look at like, what are the big courses, like where do people really make a assload of money?
How to make money, how to manifest.
It's basically how to have a magic genie lamp. I mean, that's what it all is. How can I teach you how to have a magic genie lamp so you don't have to do any work? You can just do this and suddenly everything comes in. And the reality is that the basics, if people ask like, what do we teach? Like, we teach the basics really well.
Yeah.
Because if you want to have a great life, it's the basics. It's all that shit you're skipping on, like how you breathe, like how you're thinking in the moment, what you tell yourself right before you do something big. It's all those little bitty details that line up. People think it's just one thing. Well, if I just increase my bank account a ton, then everything will be fine.
If I travel the world, I'll be happy.
But it's never that. Again, wherever you go, there you are. And so it's always that, like how rested are you? When's the last time you put your feet on the ground? When's the last time you did some of these when's the last time you told your partner? We were just in a discussion yesterday with somebody, and I was talking about relationship advice. I was like, my advice is like, tell your partner you appreciate them. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that they're beautiful. Every time they make a meal you like, tell them, oh my God, it's one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. Like live it up. Like walk in, the second you walk, but before they walk in the door, before you walk in the door, you're picturing them in your mind, how much you're going to embrace them, how great it's going to feel, and all those things. So when you walk in, you're already fully open to receive and to give love. That's different. Like doing those little bitty details is what makes your life actually worth living.
Like showing up in the present.
Yeah, it's not just about like, well, when can I get my next Ferrari? That's great. If you want to own Ferraris, you want to have a bunch of them. I love it. Like,
okay, true story. I had a hair client come in, brand new Ferrari. She sits down. I said, so how long that joy gonna last you? She was like, it was about a month, and then I was over it. I'm like, 200,000+ on a car, and the joy lasted for 1 month. That's an expensive joy meter right there. So I'm curious, what has been one of the biggest takeaways or learning lessons that you've experienced from listening to hours and hours of the Elevated Life podcast and the club calls?
Yeah, honestly, you guys are going to laugh at this, like, because like you say, everyone's always wanting this. I have taken a lot from your relationship advice and everything that you share on that, because I think, once again, not a lot of people know how to be a good partner, and like how much that really does. I think a lot of people get married, but not a lot of people are like actually in love, like taking effort to be in it for the long haul. And I think you guys are like true testaments to that. And I think that's like, I mean, I think everything that you guys do, like, all comes down to love. And like, I think that's like the base of like how it all flourishes, because I think if you can know how to be a good partner, let alone to like the person you're in a relationship with, but like you also learn how to be a better daughter, a better sister, all of these different things. And like, if you're good to those other people that are in your life, whether it's a romantic relationship or not, that's going to ripple effect, because they're going to be like, oh, I feel good around this person. They're going to want to be around you more. And then that's like going to create a ripple effect of more happiness and love in the world. And so I feel like those are the ones that I really love listening in and tuning into.
I guess it's time to schedule that couples retreat now.
Yes.
Everybody's been saying that. Okay, I want to ask you a quick question too. And this is totally like off in left field, but I keep getting asked to run men's retreats. I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me at Britt's events while we're out. They already know what Britt does. They know what we do together.
Just take a risk.
And they're like, hey, will you please start? But I like women, she's been one next thing my whole life. But I mean, it's not something that I'm opposed to by any stretch, but I mean, like, you have a partner. Do you think that what we do, because we mostly specialize in women, that's just how it's always been. How do you think as a guy, because we do have guys in elevated life, but most of them are only there because they have partners who watched it. And we've had people send some of my favorite stuff. We have people who've sent us pictures. They get in the bathtub together on our date night, like Friday night date night. They get in the bathtub together and they send us a picture. They're watching on a laptop or something else, maybe a big TV in the other room. Our video,
multiple people.
Oh
they're like, having their essential time.
Is that like technically an orgy?
Well, we're happy for y'all, whatever y'all are doing. Like, hey, knock yourself out. But what do you think? How do you think that would benefit a guy? I just totally out of curiosity.
I think definitely, but I feel like men's decision-making processes are so much more logical and less like us females. We like see someone, like we just have to see a bitch's Instagram and we're like, yes, I know her, whatever she does next, I'm going to be there. I'll be there. Men are like, okay, like it's like so many other ducks need to be in a row. And so I don't know. I don't know. I think it would be super powerful. I think there needs to be support like that for men for sure. And I would say to a man, like, you just got to do it. You got to take the risk. But yeah.
I love it. Well, if you're a man listening and you are interested in a male's retreat, then take a risk. Let us know. Reach out. I feel like you already know. Like you've already been asked how many times you need to be asked.
Like random
how
people
many
too.
times you need to be asked.
Yeah.
Like, in situations, people are like, please, will you create that? I'm like, I guess, I don't know.
All right. So to circle back to your conversation about not knowing who you were when you were stripped away of your identity after traveling, you were left with that experience of, well, shit, I did all this and I still don't have that absolute happiness. And I truly believe that every soul comes to this point in their journey of climbing the corporate ladder or running their own business or whatever goal that they're trying to run after that they think will provide that feeling or that nourishment, that fulfillment. I think we all run up against that barrier, and it leads us on that journey to ask that very important question. Well, who the fuck am I? And I know you've been on this journey. I've seen your posts about the moon and manifesting and all the things and the crystal. I see you got them oracle decks. So what has your spiritual journey been like? How have you started to uncover who is Anna beyond the lipstick?
Yeah. I would say that really did start for me after our trip. And it kind of started because I was having, I would say I've always kind of like had anxiety, just like, I would say, I don't want to say normal, I'd say common, symptoms of what people who are busy in the US have and just aren't in the present. And when I came back from that trip, I had I had never had panic attacks before in my life. I was having panic attacks frequently, such bad anxiety. And I was like, what, like, I just got back from having this fabulous 9 months away. Like I should be the most relaxed I've ever been in my entire life. I haven't had a job for a year. Like, why can I not just like do normal things? And so that's kind of what like sparked it all for me. I was like, okay, like there has to be a more holistic, reasoning behind this. So I started just doing a lot of like digging and started just like diving more into the online space. And that's kind of like what got me to realize, okay, there's a community online of people who, do this type of stuff. Like, it's not weird. Like I've always been into like, tarot and oracle cards and crystals and stuff like that. But it was like something that was like a very small part of my identity because I didn't want to dive too deep into it because I felt kind of like afraid because it's like I knew that this was going to change some shit. So like I gotta be when I go all in, I gotta go all in. And so that's kind of what I did. And it's definitely a never ending evolving journey. And I feel like for me, it kind of like comes in waves. There's like times where I'm like really connected. And then other times where like I can feel myself slipping away. And it's like, okay, what have I been doing recently? Most importantly, what haven't I been doing? What needs to change here? And so that's kind of what I do frequently is like I don't I don't like keep myself to a certain spiritual routine, because once I feel like it's a task that I have to do, like to be like, okay, it's the full moon, I should sit down and do some journaling or this, or like if I know that like I have to do something on a certain day, then like that takes the fun out of it for me. So like I've kind of just like given myself the permission to be like, okay, so yesterday was the new moon. I didn't do anything ritualistic yesterday. I don't really feel like doing anything today, but tomorrow I got nothing on my calendar. I'll do it tomorrow. That feels fun to do. So yeah, I don't know if that answers
Yeah,
anything.
I think that
It's
that's
living in the flow, in communion with your own intuition of what feels right. It's learning to trust yourself, to see what feels good. I think it's absolutely the journey that we go on, but we're not told that that's what it looks like. And we think it's supposed to be like from here to the mountaintop and easy peasy, but like, oh no, it's like backwards, upside down, left, right. Oh my God, grief. Oh, your dad died. Oh my God, like, holy shit. Like you cannot control the journey, but it's staying present and true to you that I think is the missing wisdom of the experience.
the other thing here. It's really important that when we're talking about spirituality is much more of a feminine aspect, right? That we have the logical and we have like the spiritual side. And the big thing in spirituality is the intuition. So for you to have the intuition that it wasn't the right day for you, that means it's not the right day for you. Like you always know. Like there's something inside you that tells you this is off, or I don't feel like doing it right now. That doesn't mean you always procrastinate, because a lot of us get guilty of procrastinating and we would just never do stuff. But most systems of religion, you have to remember that most systems of religion are designed to be taught, because we teach in linear things to the mind. And so when you're looking at most spiritual stuff, there's going to be a system involved, there's going to be steps involved, and that's only because that has to tie up our conscious mind. Like we need that to know that we're doing something. But the reality, most spiritual stuff is about surrendering and letting go, which is, to me, is one of the hardest things, especially if you've gotten really good with your mind. I mean, if you've developed your intellect a ton, the hardest thing to do is let go, because you think, I can outsmart it, I can outthink it, I can outdo this. As long as I use my mind more, I'll solve the puzzle. And the reality is that life's not really a puzzle to be solved. It's more something to experience, which you always do without your mind. Because the second that you add a label onto something, or the second that you add in a bunch of names that you're calling things, you're not experiencing them anymore. You're only experiencing the image that you make of them. And so now we're at a different kind of challenge. I want to ask you though, are there any kind of spiritual practices that you do with your partner? Are there any kind of things that you have incorporated together? Anything that you reel him in on?
See, I don't know that I'd necessarily call it like like labeling it spiritual practices, because when you were just expressing that, I was thinking like I don't necessarily have official like meditation, but I have things that I do to where I've noticed when I do this thing, I am in a meditative state. I'm on like that's, and so that's kind of where like I don't have set rituals. I just like know the things that I can do, but like that's what I kind of feel like is us together, because with him I've definitely learned that like I can't push something onto him. And he's a Gemini. He like likes to come up with things on his own. And so I don't know that there's anything necessarily spiritual that we do together. I think he's definitely kind of on his own. This is going to sound funny. I think he's kind of on his own, very feminine and tapped in, because he was raised by just his mom his whole life. And so there are things that he does. And I'm like, I know this is like kind of like your mom coming out. Like, I know that this is not like a typical man thing to be doing. And yeah.
For me, I think for a lot of people starting out who are interested in doing something spiritual with their partner, my favorite thing to do, a couple of things. One is that go look at a sunset. Like go look at something beautiful in nature. If you want to get spiritual, go look at the birds, watch the rabbits run around. That's spiritual. I mean, that like,
I know, I was thinking, I hope y'all have sex, because that's definitely a spiritual practice, because I mean, some soul gazing in there, just like take it one step deeper.
But the other thing that you can do, I mean, being naked around each other, just that, walking around and stuff, that can be a spiritual. But the thing that I really enjoy doing is if you spend time breathing together. And the way I always introduce it is always like, hey, I got a friend that loves this breathing practice. Would you mind sitting down and trying it with me? I want you to try it that way in case I faint, you can help pick me up, or, whatever. So to me, doing those little bitty things like that, super connecting. I love it, because it feels like a lot of times we experience our partner a lot through our phone, or we experience through our routine. And so we're not really connecting with them. And when you're breathing with each other and you're going to do something specific for 5 or 10 minutes or so, there's nothing else.
Chris also likes to lift my shirt up and put his bare belly on mine so that our like solar plexus connect. Like, he's real cute. So, Chris has always said true love is investing in another spiritual growth. And if, I know looking at you guys, I can see that true love and that connection and that spark. It's so beautiful between you guys. So I think you probably don't even realize or give yourself enough credit to the amount of presence and intimacy and spiritual like bliss and
everything's spiritual. When it comes down to it, it's all spiritual.
Yeah.
It is.
Exactly. So I'm curious, when it comes to your own personal life, your growth, your journey, what are you most curious about right now? Like, are you diving into books on aliens? Are you like caring about like fashion in Paris? Like, where's Anna's curiosity headed?
Oh, that's fabulous. Honestly, right now, my curiosity is like going towards how to plan things ahead, which is interesting because how I've like lived these past 3 years is things have been very spontaneous for me in terms of like travel, where I'm at, my routines, so to say. But I know like for like just my lifestyle has changed. My partner's lifestyle has changed. I know that there's so many things coming up within like the next year for us. And like, it's imperative that like we have things scheduled out. Like we have to shift things a little bit. And so that's kind of what I'm spending a lot of my focus on, is like not like trying to take the time to be, I can't think of the proper word for it in the moment, but like to be, to be more intentional with how I'm like using my time ahead, because I'm very much more of a in the moment type of person. And so it's been a little bit difficult for me to like be thinking ahead, even what am I like gonna, like, where am I gonna be in 3 months? Like that feels weird for me to think of. And so like trying to shift my mindset around that to thinking more longer term.
It definitely is an adjustment, because I feel that I'm also in that same boat, to where as I've always loved to live intuitively, spontaneously in the moment, but now that I want to host multiple retreats a year and all the things in between, it really requires a lead time. And, you got to make sure that the venues are booked and reserved. I can't just like 3 months out be like, hey, bro, y'all open? Like, cool. Like I had to wait for our Costa Rica retreat all the way in April 2024 because they're booked that far. So for me, they forced me to plan out and ahead. And when I was making all the payment plans and all the things, I'm like, 12 months, holy smokes, this is weird. And it feels so uncomfortable. Whereas I think a lot of people that maybe have lived their life like that is like, how could that make you uncomfortable? You know what you're doing, you know what's going to be there, and blah, blah, blah. But like, bro, things change, so it definitely is an adjustment when it comes to switching from being spontaneous to more structured.
What's really interesting about that, we were at a marketing conference a few years back, and the guy presenting with like big boy. I mean, like, these are guys that throw around a lot of weight. It's like, whoa. And he was saying that he typically has his life planned out for 2 full years. He said, so if you're like, hey, do you have time to go meet with me in October?
When he said that, I was like, well, I'm quitting this online world.
2 years. He knows where he's going, what they're promoting, what they're doing, what the campaigns will look like. He said that once you get to a certain level, which is like what we've been talking about, putting together a team. In the beginning with anything, you can do it yourself. Maybe you get a couple of mentors, maybe read a few books, you watch some YouTube videos. You can elbow grease. You can scruff it through. Like that's the entrepreneurial spirit. That's why so many of us feel like we can do anything, is because we have done anything, for a long time. And then you come to a part where you scale, you start to scale up, get a team, which is where we're at right now. And then once you do that, you're doing whatever weird stratosphere he's in, where he's just, I don't even, where it's so thought out, it's so perfected, the model's so massaged, and you've gotten all the wrinkles out. It's great. I love every part of that journey. There's not one part of that that's not fun. The beginning is so fun, even though a lot of parts suck because a lot of it doesn't work. The scaling too, you can scale and have the same kind of problems because you're going to be trying a lot of brand new things.
Yeah, there's a lot of experimenting that happens in scaling.
Which is expensive. Experiments mean expensive. That's what that word really means.
Oh, isn't that the truth?
But that's that's the part of the learning thing. Is a lot of people think they're going to get it out of the gate the first time.
Yeah, your first ad on Facebook will not generate $1 million for your online course. Let me just break the real deal, fucking Lucille, truth to you.
That's what I want to ask you too.
Yes.
What is the reality of online businesses? What would you tell someone who's like, I really want to be in an online business, and they think that they're going to create a course?
You better fucking love what you do.
that you're going to create a course, you're going to upload it to whatever site you've got, and then suddenly money's going to just fall into your lap because you're excellent and you're smart and everybody loves you. What's the reality?
I don't subscribe to that message whatsoever. And it's funny you ask that, because I was on a podcast a couple weeks ago and they asked me a similar question, and I guess I answered it not how they wanted me to. And she was like, okay, well, I'll let you know if this is going to go live ever. I was like, okay.
Oh,
Which
well,
is,
you
but
share the truth here.
essentially, I think if you like want to start an online business, like you really need to think hard about if you are disciplined, if you can sit down and you can do the work. Not only can you do the work for the next month, but like it's a long haul. It's not something where you're going to get rich overnight. Can you put in the work for the next X number of years? Does your lifestyle that you have right now allow you to do that? Or do you have other things in your life to where you're not in a season to where you can do that? Like you really need to sit down and say, is this just like something that like I saw people talking about on Instagram and like right now this seems really fun to look into? Or like, is this truly, do you want to make this your new personality right now? Like, are you committed to be doing this? And I think that's where a lot of people start, and then they realize how much is involved. And then they're like, okay.
And that's when you hire a team.
I love it because people don't get how passionate you have to be about anything.
Like eat, sleep, breathe, sweat, blood, all the things, tears, lots of tears.
I was doing some work with a basketball player, and what's interesting is that he said that he hardly ever has sex with his partner because he doesn't have the kind of time and he can't afford the energy drain that it would take on his sport. And I didn't immediately think, well, that sucks for your relationship. The first thing that I thought was, damn, you're dedicated. Because to be at a certain level of something, not that you have to forego everybody, but it takes a certain level of you're casting off fun times. You're not going out every Friday night because everybody else is. You're not staying up late drinking because you got to wake up in the morning and do shit. A lot of people don't get that about business. I have loved the amount of times that people are like, oh my gosh, we're going to do what you guys do. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's going to be awesome. Tara,
go for it.
And you see them about a month or 2 months later, and they're like, I didn't know you guys did so much stuff. I just thought you lived this glam life all the time. Like, yeah, but it has a lot of work that goes behind it. There's so much thought. There's so much. We did this as a side business for a long time because we were passionate about it. You know, it was something that
we certainly didn't need to.
No, we already had a business. We were already in business. We were living fine. We were traveling. We were doing all that stuff.
We had so much more free time.
Oh my gosh, dude, the amount of days that we had where we didn't do anything.
Just fucked around. It was so fun.
Skipped outside. Like, we'd take 5-6 hour long walks a day. Just didn't matter. Just leisurely, everything. And we have ramped it up in our lives a lot where we don't do that as much anymore. We try too often, but the reality is that it's only because we were passionate. Because I will tell you that the days that are long and the days that are hard and the times where you're dealing with real people's problems, where people come to you and they start telling you stuff about their childhood or about things that the dark places inside them they haven't shared before, and you're having to hold big space all of a sudden that you're not used to, and you're like, and the person's looking at you like, solve my shit, like help me out, do something, like come on. And you're trying to, like, you know, you're racking your brain all of a sudden, like, what's the deal? It's different. It's a different kind of thing. And if you're not really gung-ho about what you're doing or about what you're into, not just a little bit, you have to be so damn passionate about it that it can propel you out of bed when you're sick. Like, if you can't get up and work on that stuff when you're sick, you're not passionate enough. Doesn't mean you can't have business, doesn't mean that can't work, but it is never going to scale. It won't, because you have to love it. This was a mission for us. You know, this was something that we were just so, like, I love helping people. I love seeing people succeed. If someone said, hey, what's your big fetish? My fetish is watching people accomplish their goals and dreams.
Well, like, thanks for all your support for so long. That's why he's been so turned on. I've just been crushing it.
But it's so true. When you see people succeed, they're, and not just in business, but in all the other parts of life, where they start loving themselves, they start caring about themselves, we start grabbing new friends, where they start attracting new opportunities. It's all because of the way they were thinking and because they were excited about life. There was hope. There was a dream that something was going to go on. It wasn't just doom and gloom. And I think it's so big for us to remember that, like, it's that passion that's always going to drive us. And if you don't have that passion, don't get into it. This is that 7 or above again. If it's not a 9 or above in your business, don't go into your own business. You're going to hate it. You're just going to be at home and angry instead of at work and angry.
Yeah, tolerate some of the 7 or above stuff, but 9 or above in business for sure, because that's where most people's number one time priority and focus is dedicated towards.
It's huge. And the other thing about it is to make sure that you are letting your partner know and talking with your partner about what your passions are, because there are a lot of projects that Britt takes on where I'm like, so how many nights are you not going to be like, how much time is this commitment?
How much is this going to cost?
What place do you want to rent on what beach? Like what a retreat multiple years down the road? Like, what are we doing here? But so you have to have those really honest conversations. And, going back, it's been such a blessing to have you on our team. It's been so incredible to have you, because that support system, just that having that person that is like, that's my person.
I know. I was just thinking, and if your partner doesn't support your business and dream or holds you back, like, whoa, 1, have them listen to the podcast, 2, give it like X amount of time to see if there's like some working room for cooperation and like understanding. And 3, if not, fucking peace out, man. Like, it's just like you talked about earlier, holding on for far too long. And it makes me so sad to hear when there's partnerships that aren't in it for love, that they're just in it for, I don't even know, a roommate, something. So I'm curious. I want to know, this is so random, but I want to know, what is your favorite skincare, makeup, beauty product? I mean, coming from a hairstylist, you're talking my language. So since you love glam, you're passionate about it, is there something that you just love, you just can't live without? What made it into that backpack?
Yeah, well, interesting. The brand that I'm loving now, see, like, I've had to totally change up my identity on this now, being here in Germany, because it's totally different products, totally different brands and everything. So I'm like it's been a whole situation of me adjusting my beauty routine, so to say. But like in the US, like I really like for makeup the brand Elf. I've really been liking. And like my go-to is like what I have 1,000 of and I'll never stop buying is like makeup palettes, eyeshadow palettes. Like that is my jam. Like that's where I say, like, makeup to me is like my meditation, because that's where I've noticed when I am in the zone, I could sit there for literally 2 hours getting ready and I will not even know it. I will be like, I literally have not thought of another thing besides this color pink and how closely and accurately I'm getting it in this area. And like it's crazy. But like for me, like eyeshadow palettes, that's like
good to know for gift giving. So it's funny that you say that, because when you were sharing earlier about, what are my practices, what are my routines, I instantly thought, well, obviously her makeup routine is her meditation.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you like connected those two together, because it's what meditation is: in the present moment, cessation of thought, not thinking about anything else but the thing you are doing in that moment. So absolutely, makeup can be your meditation, y'all. Like, you heard it here.
It's the basics.
You heard it here.
Yeah.
So I guess my last question for you would be, what is it like to live in Europe, Germany versus the US? What are some of the big differences? Are you enjoying your quality of life more? Because when you refer to the US, you talk about the routine and fitting into essentially the rat race. Do you feel like you have more freedom, or what's the difference for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both here, because here I'm definitely not as established in sense of community. I don't have, I have a huge family back in the US. So like my life over there is every single day I have some kind of social event to do, and I love it. But here I'm spending pretty much most of my time in my apartment doing stuff with my partner, don't really have any friends here. And so that's also where I've had to adjust my like spiritual routine, so to say, because like I can only sit and be in solitude so much before it's like, okay, I actually need to go out and like act like a human and like go get margaritas and tacos with someone and just like gossip about shit. And so that's like, for me, has been a big adjustment, is like trying to find my footing of where I am here. But I think like there definitely is a lot of things that are different, because there's so many things that, and I know you guys already know this, you've done so much research on this, but like the amount of things that like aren't allowed here, but like it's just basic, everybody's eating and consuming in the US is just like crazy. And like I do notice that I do think my quality of life here is better, but it's in a different sense. Like it's not like jumping right out at me. Like, yes, I get to travel to different countries for the weekend and like do all that fun shit, but like on a different level, it's not something that I think you would notice immediately until you were here for a long time. Like if you were here for 5 days on a vacation, I don't think you would really notice. But if you were here extended, in the US extended, I think you'd definitely notice the things that you can do and the things that you can't do in both places, so to say.
I'm excited to see how you insert yourself into the community and actually take effort to, you know, make these new connections, because even moving to a different city in the US is like that weird, awkward, like, oh, everything changes, but like changing full on countries, different language, everything probably has some level of intimidation or like comfort zone area. So what do you think it's going to take for you to just take a risk and put yourself out there to meet locals?
Well, low key, I have considered maybe I need to talk to Chris about hypnosis on learning German, because like that's like a big block for me. And like it's like on a deeper level, not like, oh, like I don't expect to like do hypnosis and then all of a sudden I know the language. It's like on a deeper level to where I can't grasp it somehow. But a step I did take, it was yesterday. I'm in this like Facebook group of community of girls who live here, and they posted that they were having a Barbie watch party this weekend, and it was required that you wear all pink. And I was like, okay, this is my step into the game. So I booked myself to go to that Barbie party on Saturday, and I'm going to walk in there looking like fucking Barbie.
I cannot wait to see the content you create from that. You know what's hilarious, Anna? I literally sent my favorite vegan bakery local to here is doing a whole Barbie collection. They have these pink heart cupcakes with glitter and it says it's just so cute. I sent it to my girls and was like, Barbie watch party this weekend. So I think, and I'm going to make them wear pink. So thank you for that. Yes. Love that. Love it. So good for you.
You said a big tip in here. You said a really big tip. And I hope people are listening to this, because we've heard, you know, how to make friends as an adult. Like, how do I do that? Because, you know, it's not the same kids at school, you know, it's a little harder.
Take a risk.
There are two things that I really like doing. One of them is going to a place where I'm going to shine, which is exactly what you're about to go do.
Yeah.
So where you're going to be the expert, where people can be like, holy smokes, look how cool this person is. That's the one thing to do. And the second thing to do is go to a place where you're stuck, so that other people can help you. So it's like when you combine those two things, because everybody wants to help, you know, when you're the shining star, like you want to help people, be like, hey, let me check this out. Let me tell you where I bought this. Let me tell you what I'm using. Let me tell you about some tips that we got down.
Yeah, bring your palette and your purse just in case you touch someone up.
but it's so good. So if you'll go somewhere where you shine and go somewhere where your dull is mud, you know, like those are the two places where you're going to find a lot of people and you're going to make bigger connections. If you go where everyone's kind of the same, you know, maybe, but a lot of times when you have that like extra effort, when you are helping somebody, the how fast the bond gets created is very quick, because the person goes, well, they helped me.
Oh,
they're more than just my friend. You know, they're more than just someone I saw today. And if they're a person who's helped you, they look at you and go, hell yeah, I helped that person. How are you doing? Did that work out for you? You know, it's like you create that, and that's just it's just a little shift. That's a small shift that you're doing, but I'm telling you, how great of friends you can make from doing either one of those things is phenomenal.
You know what's so crazy? This is absolutely true. Case in point, just a few weeks ago, we hosted the summer solstice, and we had this wonderful energy healer, just freaking wise old grandma, like amazing woman. And she was teaching a spoon bending class. And, you know, it takes a lot for me to get really excited about, you know, what's that next level of growth and magic and practice and all the things, because we've been dabbling in it for lifetimes. So when I heard that, I was like, I can bend yes, like teach me the things I want to know. So I luckily didn't have a salon client on Saturday, which never happens. It was the week of the solstice. So I did myself a favor and created balance and took a break. And when she was like, well, come to my class on Saturday, I'm like, I am available. Holy shit. I can't believe it. So we go to the class, right? This woman sits down beside me wearing a pink shirt. So I'm already like picking up her vibes, and she's very nervous. I can also tell she has an autoimmune disease through just her physical body shaking. And you could just tell there was sensitive energy around her. And she broke down in the class. I can't do it. I'm weak. And she starts crying. And we all hold space for her for at least 10 minutes of her trying to calm down, trying to relax her breathing. And after about the 10-minute mark, I just put my hand on her shoulder and I said, honey, I know the men that told you that you were weak have passed in your life, and they are no longer holding energy over you, and you can reclaim your power. I mean, I don't even know what happened, but I just went full Brit on her. And after the class, she came up to me and she said, I just feel so connected to you. And I'm thinking, yeah, fucking duh. I just poured so much energy and healing and light and sparkle magic into your ass. And she was like, I've always wanted pink hair. I love your hair so much. I'm like, well, you're in luck. I actually own a hair salon, and I would be happy to make your hair pink. Why was I not booked again this last Saturday in the salon? And I'm like, you know what? She really wants to get in. I'm pretty strict about my boundaries. I make people wait so that they get the idea of the routine and I don't get off to the wrong expectation. But there was just something so divine about that connection that I was like, you know what? I'm going to open my calendar and I'm going to get you in this Saturday. Tell me why she was the client that was there when Noodles literally passed away and revived himself back to life. I never am late to any client. I never cancel, except for when my mom had the stroke. There's like very few times in my entire career, lifetime of careers, that I have ever flaked, bailed. It's just not the type of person or business owner I am. And so that morning, I literally had to trust my intuition and say, I got to take my cat. And I text her, hey, I am so sorry. I'm going to be late. Got to drop off my cat. And when I sit down with her, she has run pet rescues for the last X amount of years. So out of all the people and all the circle and the timing and the connection and holy smokes, I feel connected because you helped me. She was able to then help me in a time where I really needed support. I was hurting. I was like, she goes, I'm sorry I talked the whole time. I just could tell you needed it. I'm like, thank you. Because I just paint pink and purple, and that's all I got right now. That's all I got for you. So it's just crazy how when you help someone, you never know full circle how they can come back and support you in a different way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's great because we don't close off, the giving and receiving. We were talking about earlier about how everybody loves manifesting. So think about receiving, but a lot of times it's something you got to flop on that other side of that coin and be, well, I'm going to give now. And maybe it's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's advice, maybe it's space. Who knows what it is, but we're always in a position where we can give a little bit, and sometimes it's just like Britt said, just putting your hand on the person's shoulder, said, hey, pull your head out of your ass. You got this.
I told Noodles on the table, get your shit together, cat. Like, come on.
And so it's just, sometimes it's being that person, because sometimes that's all a person needs. Just like you said, to hear that one phrase, just that one phrase in that one moment, right person, right time, deliver it to you in the right way. And you could saw her face, like there was like a serenity that suddenly just like washed over her. And it was almost like she just had all this stuff that she was holding on to. And she's going, you can always tell she's going to go, like that big sigh, like after you have a really good meal, you take that one sigh, you're like, oh, that's me. I'm full now. I'm good. She took that. And I was like, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful Saturday to make it all happen. Yeah.
Crazy, the timing. So to wrap up today's amazing, beautiful chat, I am so thankful to get to dive deeper into who Anna is. And again, thank you publicly, everyone shout out to Miss Anna. She is the freaking bomb. And if you need support, we will share. But I want to know, what does living an elevated life mean to you?
I'd say not settling, like doing what you know you are meant to do, kind of, we all have like that feeling inside of us. For me, it was earlier, being like, oh, I think I want to move. I think I want to do this thing. But it would have been I could have settled and said, I want to live the easy life. I just want to do what everyone else is doing, but I wouldn't be living my purpose. Like, who knows what else is going to come from me being here. And so I think you can't settle. You have to do what you are feeling, what you feel called to do. And I think that's when you're living elevated, because it's a ripple. Once you start to live that elevated life, once you start to like high level up your standards, then everything else changes and grows from there as well.
That's just so beautiful. The whole talk's been beautiful. Take risks, don't settle. That's
And
today.
once you pop, you don't stop. Oh, is there anything else left you feel called to share? Or if you could leave a message on a billboard for the world, what would that say?
Oh, I would say like, I mean, this is going to go along with the theme, but like you need to get out of your hometown for a little bit. Like you don't need to move to a different country. You don't need to move to a different continent, but like you need to get yourself out of your routine, out of the people that you know and everything that they know about you. Like you need to just go see who you are outside of those things. When you come back, you don't have to change anything. Like if you don't want to change, you don't have to, but like you need to step outside of the box for a little bit. I'm gonna say step outside the box for like 17 days, 20 days. See how long that goes.
I love that so much. And fun little known fact about me, the town I grew up in had less than 300 people. So can you imagine if I would have stayed in my hometown my whole life?
DQ.
Oh, well, no, that's when we upgraded to Farmersville with 3,000 people. Hello.
Boom.
Anyway, I just loved your message, Anna. It's been such a pleasure getting to experience your risk taking and the light that you shine. I have no doubt that your Barbie party this weekend is going to unlock some seriously cool doors. So go out there and shine. I cannot wait to see what you look like. And I'm just so thankful for you sharing your wisdom, your love, and your support here on The Elevated Life. In front of the camera and behind the scenes, you are a true gem, and we are forever grateful for you.
Oh, thank you guys so much. It means words of affirmation are definitely my love language. So I love hearing that from you guys, and I love supporting you. And yeah, I love being able to come on and have these chats with you, because I think, yeah, like I said at the beginning, y'all go deep, and I'm not afraid. I'm here to share whatever needs to be said.
We're the truth tellers around here. We won't dim your light. So I'm so grateful that you feel safe to share, and it has been so much fun. Until next time, we will catch you later. Peace.